Post-mortem for Lancer. So in my Lancer framework, the first thing I want to check out is the quest manager. I want to check it out first because it's not something the player sees, therefore can't encounter in the level, but it's always there with them. So basically, it gives, long story short, it gives the player a quest, and then it has many different functions from it. So it's got a delay, whether or not I want to put a delay on the quest so it doesn't show up straight away. Text for it. The target actors that fulfilled the quest requirements. And then I also custom made it to send a signal when the quest is completed. You'll see that later on. So first off, when the player first starts the level, you can see that they get zoomed in to the interactable NPC here. And the reason I did that is because I wanted them to know exactly where to go from the start. I didn't want them wondering where to go or to just focus straight on the quests. So I have the camera going in, and I also immobilize the character so they can't move around because then it gets a bit disorienting. So when you go up to the character, the NPC, you can interact with them. That creates the chat box that you'll see in a lot of places. You can see it in the quest system, the chat box system, stuff like that, where it fires one letter at a time, which I think is pretty cool. And as you can see, every single actor that can fulfill a quest will have this node in it, the add to objective progress, so that the quest manager knows that it's added onto the quest fulfillment requirements conditions. So it creates a chat box widget. And the reason I wanted an NPC is to tell the player where to go. When I play games, I really like when I'm leaded somewhere. I don't like so much freedom to the point where I don't know where to go or what to do. So if I go to my UI, as you can see, the chat box is here. I also just made a little icon for the NPC so the player knows exactly who they're talking to, even though it doesn't change throughout the level. I just thought that was pretty required. And yeah, that's binded to these here. And when you talk to him, it actually activates this weapon pickup here. I didn't want it to be there straight away. I kind of wanted him to be the one to give it to you, so to speak. So when it's given a signal, it sets the visibility to true. And if the visibility is true, then the player can pick it up like every other item pickup or ammo pickup, health pickup, whatever I have in the game. So the first weapon the player will use is just called BP_start gun. And one thing I did with the guns is I thought they were a bit overpowered because you could just spam the click key. So what I did was I added a bit of a shooting delay where it sets a timer by event and sets its shooting delay to 0, and then over the course of however long it regains that shot, basically reloads, so that the player can shoot again. It's not as strong on the start gun, although it's still there and it's definitely noticeable. However, with the rocket launcher, which I'll show you later, it's a very long time because otherwise the player would just spam it and kill every boss imaginable. So we've got the switches. The switches are just, they also fulfill the quests. So I have used the left switch and used the right switch. So in there they have that same node as earlier. And this left one spawns enemies for the players to fight. And then this right one opens the door. I just wanted a little bit of an enemy to fight straight away, so the player could get used to the controls and the weapons. So this blue cube here is called Go to Objective, and it's something that the player sees when that quest is active. So if you go into it, you can see that when the player overlaps with it, completes the objective. When the objective is active, the cube is no longer hidden because it's hidden by default. So yeah, and it also has a widget on top, so the player always knows where to go when they encounter one of these. So if I just show you, I also made it so you're immobilized when you talk to this guy, and you have to press E to continue, which you can see in the top right. So if I press this, but you can see that widget's also on the switches, and as you can see there, you can see the pointer on top of the widget, which I think is pretty cool. And as you just saw then, I started to go into a cinematic. Cinematic just goes along this corridor and just kind of shows the player around here, which I think just adds a little bit of life to the game. And then I also, similar to the chat box when you speak to the NPC, I made it so there's a kind of like a portable version where it's just a collider. And I made it so that it's called the holo chat box because he's talking to you over like a hologram or a walkie-talkie or something like that. I even put a blue tint on him just for like a hologram effect, which I thought was pretty funny. So when you glide into it, it's the same chat box as before. And yeah. So these are collapsible floors that I made, which I think are pretty cool. When the player steps onto this collider here, it checks that it's the character, and then starts a timeline of 0.2 seconds. Sorry, yeah, because it shakes, so it needs to be fast. It constantly shakes up and down. So if I show you, yeah, it's going to do that because it's on begin play in the level blueprint. So if and it's this one, brilliant. But that's the cinematic. But as you can see, it's shaking, and then like particle effects spawn afterwards. Like there's like a little rubble thing, just to give it again more life. So if you stand on that and then fall down, you're going to be sent down to the pits. Speaking of down there, you've got lava, which is a really simple blueprint. It just checks when the player hits it, make sure it is a player, and I thought it was really funny to, if you've ever played the old Mario Galaxy games or something like that, or like the Mario Odyssey, when you touch lava, you get launched upwards. I thought it'd be pretty funny to replicate that, so that's why I bounce on them, and I take damage. I just thought that was pretty funny. I also have a particle effects coming, just to really drive home the fact that it's lava. Otherwise, it's just a red cube. Up here, I have the next weapon pickup, which is just on by default. And if you go here, it's the grenade launcher, which is a child of the charge gun. And the reason that is because depending on how long you charge it for, that's how many grenades shoot from it. which I think is pretty fun. I don't have a shooting delay on it just because you've got to charge it anyways. So, oh no, maybe I do. No, I definitely don't. I was really confused then. So I have got 2 grenades, but I don't really use it in the level. I didn't like the way I went with it. But if you press G, it swaps the ammo to go for an ice grenade, which slows down the enemies. But I didn't use it at all. It would have been cool if I went further with it, but I didn't. So next up is it's just a checkpoint, just a simple checkpoint that when you die, you spawn back there. Just to make sure the player hits it is right in front of the door, in front of another hollow chat box and another go-to objective. And when you're in here, you just fight these enemies, and then when these enemies are defeated, which is another quest, it sends a signal to this go-to objective in chat box here that it's on. These don't appear unless these enemies have been defeated. Otherwise, the player could be fighting them, come over here, and they'd automatically get locked into this, which is really not good for the player. So I made it so you can make it conditionable. And it just takes you across this hallway. Kind of shows you like the dangers of it with the lava underneath and how impossible it is to just jump across. And it tells you if there's anything around that can help, and it opens this door. Like this door isn't open beforehand until they collide with that. And you come in here, and there's 3 enemies you got to fight. I tried to put other ones in here, but the AI just wouldn't fight back. Like the AI was a really big issue for me in this framework. But when you pick this up, this is something we'll be seeing 3 more times. Where it adds an item to the player's inventory, and when it's added to the inventory, it sets the fact that you can dash to true. And I thought that was pretty cool. I know that for a fact this isn't the most efficient way of doing this. I'm not very good at structs at the minute. I'm hoping to get better at those. But when the player unlocks the dash, they're obviously able to dash, which I like my dash because it has a nice particle effect system on it, and you're also able to deal damage. But that damage is only a certain type. Where's the kill box? Here. So it deals only a specific type of the wall damage. And that is so that you can destroy these walls here. But anyways, it changes your FOV, spawns a little particle effect, so it makes you look like you're really going fast. If I just play from here. So as you can see, you see little lines. I put I put a little UI on top of the screen saying recharge dash to tell the player when their dash is recharged, obviously, because originally I just had it on a print screen, and obviously that's not good. But yeah, I really like the dash effect I've got. You can do it jumping or not jumping. But it takes it takes 2 seconds pretty much after you stop moving for the dash to recharge. And that's when obviously the recharge dash comes from. But anyways, with the cracked walls, It's quite simple, really. The reason I added a decal on it is because I really wanted to drive home the symbiotics of it. So the player instinctively links this symbol with a destructible wall, and not just with the color. Same with these floors. Although they're not used often, these decals really drive home that they're different to the other floors and that to be careful around them. I also did it so the player has to destroy the wall to get past, otherwise they'd miss a shotgun. But it makes sure that the damage that it takes is of wall damage, and if it is, then it destroys the actor and spawns the same rubble particle effect that these do. And I think that's pretty cool. So when you break through it, you can see the shotgun here. I'm really proud of the shotgun because I messed around with construction scripts. Basically, my level's all about bobbleheads and stuff like that. I just think it's pretty cool because I've got I made it so when the player shoots, it shoots 6 projectiles, and those projectiles are different bobbleheads, which I think's pretty funny. It's not the Deke one because that's the end goal, so it wouldn't make sense to shoot Deke if you're aiming to go get Deke. It just gets a random mesh and sets it whenever it's updated or spawned or something like that, which I think's really cool. This also has a shooting delay, and it's the same as the start gun. Shotgun's pretty good because obviously it shoots 6 projectiles, but they only do 5 damage each. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really proud of the way it turned out because of the way the meshes change and stuff like that. You can see where it shoots 6 things. An issue I was having beforehand was they'd all spawn from the same point, and I didn't realize it was this value right here that changes that. So now they spread out like a proper shotgun. I'm just going to close all these. So after you get a shotgun, you come through here and you dash across the chasm, so to speak, and there's another checkpoint because up here you're about to fight a boss, and this cinematic here tells you that. It kind of takes you up these stairs and it kind of makes you feel low, so it's quite intimidating, I think. Or at least that's how I went. That's why I went for it. That's what I aimed for. So it takes you up here, and then up here you fight the boss. You've got lava around. I tried to get these to work, where the boss would take not a lot of damage unless you shoot these, which are like weak points, but I couldn't get it to work, unfortunately. So when the boss dies, you get the shield pickup. Just like the dash pickup beforehand, it just adds the shield unlock, and then in the player character, it checks to see which item has been added, and if it's the shield unlock, it unlocks the shield. Again, I'm pretty proud of the shield. I used something similar to how we did the dash, where it spawns a material above your head. Give me 1 second. The way I did it, you need to unlock dash, then shield, and then the next ability, which I'll show you soon. Again, not the most efficient, I know that, but I wasn't entirely sure. going to disable that. So when I hold F, which I think was a pretty cool keybind for it, as you can see, it tells the player how much shield they have left with a little UI bit on the right hand side over here. It drains and then goes back to the top, which I think is pretty cool. And when they're shielding, they take no damage. They get launched, obviously, but they take no damage from it because they're invincible. And next, when you kill the boss, because he's linked to a quest, it sends a signal to, obviously, the shield pickup, because the shield pickup isn't there originally to be visible. And you pick it up, and then the door opens, and then over here is a teleport pad, which just brings you over to the next level, which is over here. And over here, I have yet another checkpoint, hollow chat box, and cinematic. And the cinematic, it brings you across that chasm yet again. That's not what it looks like when the player's actually doing it properly. It doesn't look like that. But it also immobilizes the player so they can't move until the chat box is done. Yeah, there's another checkpoint. And then over here, it tells you to collect 3 bobbleheads in order to unlock this jetpack over here. So when these are linked to quests, so that when the player picks them up, it adds to the quest component, and when the quest is completed, it turns the jetpack pickup on, similar to the shield one. But over here, whenever you pick up a bobble, it spawns enemies. So that one spawns, that one there, that spawns that one, and then over here is a hiding bobblehead, which you have to break through the walls to get through. It spawns that one. But in another one of these walls is the rocket launcher I was talking about earlier. Again, I'm pretty proud of the rocket launcher. Because it basically explodes whenever it's hit. Whenever the projectile is hit, it explodes the rocket, the shell, and it explodes in a large radius, because obviously it's a rocket launcher. It's going to do a lot of damage. The effect is the same as the grenade. I don't really see much point in changing it, really. But yeah. Again, it's pretty overpowered, so I do have that on I think it's a 10-second delay on how fast you can shoot it. And it also uses a lot of ammo per shot. It uses pretty much half your ammo per shot, like 25, and you get 50. But yeah, and then when you pick up the jetpack, again, just like before with the other 2 abilities, it unlocks it. And then with the jetpack, the jetpack was something I was having issues with originally. I wanted it so you double tap space and hold space in order for you to fly. But I think it's something to do with Unreal, as the combo key system is still in beta. So I just had to put it to V, which is pretty close to the spacebar. So I don't think it's that much of a. Obviously, it's still an issue, but it's not as big an issue as it could have been. And then using the jetpack, you have to go around these walls and hitting these damage switches, which then turn off these laser traps. So when you go through here, it shoots all of them. An issue I was having is whenever you'd shoot the switches, it would hit the wall behind them, because the colliders would actually just come out and straight down like a cube. So I had to set the colliders to, I think it's use the simple collider as complex, or vice versa, something like that. But then it works, which is really cool. So you come through here. The last hollow chat box, which gets connection terminated because of the boss, and another checkpoint. So you come through here, and you just fight the giant boss. But over here, you've got different pickups to help you throughout the fight that are kind of hidden away, which I think is pretty cool. And in here, you've got to do to get special ammo for the rocket launcher and grenades. You've got to do a bit of like an obstacle course. So I thought it was pretty amusing. But yeah, when the boss dies, it sets this deep bobblehead to be visible. And then when you collide with him, it just sets a windscreen on. An issue I have is I can't really make things look good. Like cinematics or graphics design. It's never really been my thing. So my windscreen is just a black screen with a U win on it, and then after 5 seconds, it quits out of the game. But yeah, I think that is everything.